Hello Africa, you're welcome once again to AgriLink on AAU TV. And AgriLink is a platform where we showcase and highlight agricultural activities on the continent. And for this episode, we are here to explore the fish farming industry with the help of the farm manager at the National Service Scheme Farm in Papao, specifically Hacho. He's going to help us explore this industry so that you can learn and also apply what is being taught here. We'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we shall start this discussion. My name is Nana Ismabasam. Do stay tuned. You're welcome back from the break. As I said, we are here to explore the fish farming industry with the help of the farm manager at the National Service Scheme Farm here in Papao, Hacho. He's going to help us explore this industry, teach you about fish farming, and whoever is interested can venture into it. Those who are already into it can also learn more to apply on their farm to expand as they want. You're welcome to AgriLink, sir.
Thank you.
Can you please introduce yourself and give us a brief history of this place?
Right. My name is Cyril Tete Enyu, and I'm the farm manager of National Service Scheme Farm at Hacho Papao here. We're located in the West Legon Boulevard. So we're close to the West Legon area of Legon. Right, so we're just behind the Legon University, if I may put it that way, in the proximity. Okay, this farm actually had a long history, but to make it very short, it was established in the year 1982 with the sole aim of training hands-on practice, agriculture practice, and helping students who might have not had the experience to get practical experience in their various universities and colleges. And it was also a place where people could come for practical attachment, or what we call industrial attachment, or what otherwise is known as internship. So mainly when you come to Papao Farm here, the work here is being done mainly by students who have completed their universities and colleges, mainly colleges of agriculture, or people who have agriculture background or any related courses to agriculture. So they come in here, they experience the practice, and then they serve for the period of national service. So normally it starts from September and ends around 31st July. So basically, that is how this place operates. Okay, so if you don't have any agricultural background, you are not permitted? That's a good question. Occasionally, we have people who hitherto had no idea about agriculture. Their courses might not have related in any way to agriculture. But people are posted where their services are needed. So when it happens that way, people come here, and there are people who have come here, and at the end of the day, some even turn out to rather go into agriculture. And that's something that I take personal joy about. Okay, all right. And I'm always interested in the inspiration behind people venturing into a specific agricultural sector. You could have gone into, even for fish farming, you could have gone into tilapia farming. So why catfish? Right. We have ventured into catfish production because we look at location, production, requirements throughout the year, the taste of customers and all that, the engagement, even equipment. And then we decided that instead of going to maybe into shrimps, which you have to take us to the ocean, instead of going to tilapia, which have to take us to where there is fresh water body, where there is running water or a stream, we decided to go into catfish because this one is in-house. And with catfish, you can go in with the dugout system, which is the earthen pond system, or you can go with the trampoline system, which is now the new novelty of fish farming in Ghana, or then you use the concrete pond system, as you can see at the background. So we decided that since it's easier for us to run the concrete ponds, it will be prudent we rather do catfish.
Okay.
And it's easier managing catfish than shrimp, than tuna fish, than tilapia and all others.
Okay. So it was mainly convenience that inspired
the convenience and then the longevity of the project, because you go into other ventures if you don't have the requisite logistics, the requisite skills, the requisite manpower. With time you run out of motivation, but with catfish, with a little bit of effort, with a little bit of input, you can always cultivate.
Okay. So Ghana's fish farming industry has been characterized by many challenges, many controversies and issues arising daily. What, in your opinion, is the state of fish farming in this country?
Well, the state of fish farming in Ghana had been very turbulent. When I say turbulent, in the case that we haven't seen a very natural and steady growth as some of us would have wished. There are times it is at its low ebbs. There are times as if the industry is dying. And then there are times there is a sudden wake-up call and you see a lot of people wanting to venture into fish production in general, and then these days catfish production. In fact, catfish production is rather catching up very quickly, unlike tilapia, because of certain challenges over the years.
Okay. So in your opinion, it's a growing industry?
It's a very growing industry, and it can grow bigger.
Okay.
It can grow bigger.
Okay.
Bigger.
And of late, agriculture is very appealing to a lot of people. Gone are the days where people saw it as a form of punishment. People are now even doing it alongside their 9-to-5 jobs. People are venturing into various sectors, and for some time now, instead of the normal ones with the crops and the farm animals, people are venturing into fish farming. I'm sure there are other people who are even considering venturing into it, but don't know the conditions, what they should take into consideration in terms of land, in terms of feed. Can you give us some of the conditions that catfish that helps catfish thrive?
Okay. Every agricultural venture, the major constraint is the capital investment.
Exactly.
However, with catfish production, when you are able to raise your capital investment, and then you are able to sacrifice time, skill, expertise, and passion within the first 2 months.
2 months.
You are okay. Your production line is just okay for you, unlike other agricultural ventures that on day-to-day basis, you need to be putting in extra effort. But with catfish production, once the rudiments are set properly, the rest is history. And that's why these days people are willing to invest into catfish production. And the tastes of Ghanaians are changing. And this, we cultivated a lot of this taste from our Nigerian counterparts and friends. Though people didn't know, catfish could be consumed in various ways. And so people are looking of a way of consuming it, because we used to the smoke catfish, which normally people call in tree ajun. All right, they first call it adehe. Nowadays, people know that catfish can be eaten, semi-cooked, can be even used to prepare light soup, can be used to prepare various dishes. Once you know how to go about it, so gradually, the taste and the likeness for catfish is increasing, and that's also why people are entering into it, because the market is getting bigger. And there's more room for other people to even come overboard.
Okay.
Yes. And even the latest development is that when you do your catfish production very well, and you can add value to it by packaging it properly, seasoning it properly, drying it properly, you can even export it. So people are really coming on board.
Okay. And you have been in this industry for quite some time, and I'm sure you've been able to use different feeds, ratios, and rations to feed your fishes in order for them to either grow big, stay strong, stay for a longer period, or even multiply in number, in larger quantities compared to before? What are your feed ratios?
Very good. You mentioned about feed, and before tackling your question. I would say, aside the capital you need to raise, feed is just about the first three things that really makes it a little bit difficult. But once you're able to overcome, so you have to do with the capital you have to raise. It has to do with your ability to be able to purchase feed. More especially for the first 3 months and thereafter. And then your accessibility to water. These are the three major things, and once you have the room to overcome them, you can be able to go into catfish production. Now, coming to feed rationing, the advice I give over here, especially when I train people and when I take people through the rudiments of production, is that we have various people preparing catfish and selling them in commercial quantities and commercial sizes. You can, in your own way, also produce feed. However, in the industry, we've learned that there are some people who have been in the industry and are producing feed now, and they know what it entails and the requirements to get your feed to rise from fingerling up to about 1 month old, where they should be able to hit about 500 grams plus. And therefore, here at Papao, we rely on the commercial feed, most importantly because we are dealing with students, so we want them to learn it very well. Rely on commercial feed, especially for the first 4 months. The most important is to look at the fish producing agencies and then pick the feed that will help the foundational growth. In every animal production venture, it is the feed that will let your animals grow and they can be sustainable and can be on their own. That is what is important. So let me leak out a secret. We normally depend on feed produced by Coppens. Coppens is a company that is in the Scandinavia. They are scattered in Holland, Austria, Sweden, Norway, Denmark. And that company is very big. Their feed is expensive, but it is very good for foundational production. So that's what we start with. And then later on, we tap into other feeds like cycle feeds. They are located at Tema Industrial Area, and then, or Ale Aqua. In fact, basically for now, these are the three places that we buy our feed. From Coppens, which is a foreign feed, imported. Then we use Ale Aqua or cycle feeds. Right. Now, when you are able to do that and the foundation of the growth is very good, thereafter you can use your own feed. In fact, there is a new dimension now that people are using worms that are intentionally grown to feed the catfish. In their natural or in their wild environment or adaptations, catfish and any other feed, they feed on diatoms, they feed on worms and other things. But now people have the capacity to grow worms using organic manure. Now in the north, there is a large company there, I can't remember the name outright, but they are preparing this organic feed. They dry them, bag them, and they sell them. Even people outside this country are buying it even more than people inside because they are looking at the expenses. But that organic feed is even far better than any other feed you can prepare because this is a natural source of feed. Worms, organic worms, specially meant for fish. So that's the new dimension. Now other people also, they put in animal waste, especially from poultry, from piggery, and even sometimes cow dung, mix it with other things like moringa leaves, bitter leaf, and some other edible plants, bag it and hang it in the water for the animals to benefit from it. So people are using various methods of, there are people who also waste feed from restaurants that is devoid of oil, spices and other things. People scoop them, bag them, and then when they take them to their farms, they dry them. After drying, they use it to feed the catfish. And they are doing equally well. But the strain is for you to get a feed, you come to dry, strain and remove all impurities and impediments before you feed the animals. So to avoid the cumbersomeness, you can decide to go in for your own ingredients. And now these ingredients include fish meal, granite, soya bean. You can also go for, some people use wheat bran. Some also even go to the extent of adding a little bit of concentrate that is used for poultry feed. Now, they take certain ratios, mix all together, grind all together, and then add binding materials, and then pellet them. They use pelleting machines and pellet them, and then they use it to feed the catfish. And normally, this kind of fish that is home prepared, if I may use that term, home prepared, is used after the second month. So caution is most people go for the commercial feed at least for the first month, because that one has no ambiguity. So you start with the commercial feed at least for the first year, and then to cut off cost and everything, you prepare your own feed, and then you are ready to go.
Okay. And how often do you feed the catfish?
The catfish, when they come as fingerlings, they are very, very tiny. If you don't have good eyesight, you can't really even see them properly. When they come as fingerlings, we feed them 5 times a day, starting from dawn around 5 a.m. 5 times in the day, up to about 7 p.m. Now, when you do that, they are able to grow very well. Now, as they age, month after month, you reduce the number of feeding time, and it's a routine. So when you're doing it, you stay at it religiously. If you are doing the routine for 5 times, you stay at it, and you have to plan it. If it's 1 month you want to do that, you do that. If it's 2 months, you do that. Then thereafter, you can space it for 3 times in a day. When they are getting to the commercial sizes, which is at 1 kilo or plus, you can even decide to feed them once a day. But every time you plan to feed, you have to stick to the plan, because by adaptability, the fishes come looking for feed at exact time you feed them. And when you feed them 2-3 times, they readjust, and that can affect your production. So the routine must be regular and normalized. Okay. So that's what most of us fish farmers do.
Then from what you're saying, then I can say that it's actually a labor-intensive sector.
Yeah, it is, but I see work as exercise.
Okay, so that's where the passion comes in.
Exactly. So passion is very important. I see it as an exercise. So once you have in your mind that this is not work, but it is an exercise that will lead to profitability or to production that will bring you a yield and an income in your pocket, you psych yourself up. And once you know the routine, you can be doing other things. When it's time for feeding, you come back and feed. Or you train somebody
to take charge
whilst you are absent. And once that is done, you are free.
Okay. And also one of the factors that actually hinders people from venturing into agriculture full time is because of the seasonalities associated with some of the areas. Is this the same for catfish, or you can produce all year round?
This is another very good question that I think we all have to express. Yes, with catfish, they also have seasons, naturally so. And here we're talking about Easter, the period of Easter, and then the period of Christmas.
Okay.
There, the clientele or the customers increase because we are in the festive mood. But I can bet with you that catfish can be sold throughout the year. It is for you, the farmer, to be very innovative. It is for you, the farmer, to be very technical. Do you take records of your clients, your customers? Do you have their contacts? Do you call them or rope them in when your animals are getting ready for harvesting? Do you make other contacts? Are you on powerful agriculture platforms where you can sell your product? Are you adding value to your product? Are you selling it naturally raw, so or you smoke some, you sell down some raw, you chop some into pieces, you package some. You need to add value to what you are doing so that throughout the year you can sell. You can also rope in, aside your normal customers, rope in institutions like the banks. Once you have very good packaging, they can locate you. They visited your location before and they are okay with your environment and your produce. Believe you me, the whole year you can sell. Now there are some restaurants, most of them are being run by Nigerians, but some Ghanaians are also into it. Catfish that you sell at 20 cedis per kilo, or at most, some are selling it 26 cedis per kilo. There are some restaurants that, after adding their secret spices, vegetables, and other things, they grill it and it's selling at 60 cedis. The same that they bought 20 or 25 cedis. They are selling it at 60. I have places that I can easily show that people are selling catfish, which is bigger than a little bit close to 1.5 kilos, and they are selling it after it has been garnished. They are selling it at 65 to 70 Ghana cedis in Accra here. Some around Sakumono, some around West Legon, some around East Legon especially. There are restaurants and cafeterias that are selling beyond 60 cedis. After purchasing is 25 cedis. Yes. So there is market for it. So it's for you to add value to what you are doing. Now, the only difference between catfish and tilapia, for example, in comparison is that the sale of catfish is a little slower as compared to the tilapia. But once again, all the things that I've mentioned, if you're able to go by it, you are good to go. Okay. Your product should just exceed 1 kilo and you have good market for it.
Okay. We'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we shall continue the discussion on fish farming in Ghana. Do stay with us. You're welcome back from the break. This is AgroLink on AAU TV, where we've been exploring the fish farming industry in Ghana with the help of the farm manager here at the National Service Scheme Farm, specifically in Papao, Hatcho. You can follow this discussion on our social media platforms at Association of African Universities on Facebook and YouTube, and on our dedicated website at tv.aau.org. Okay, so Cyril, now let's look at the profitability aspect. You just mentioned that people buy from the farm. Usually, when it comes to agriculture, the first sale point usually doesn't get much. It's those who buy to go and add value who end up getting all the money. So people end up shunning or seeing agriculture to be associated with poverty. You know, this makes it unattractive to the youth, because now people are into quick money. People want to get money. They want to see the money. They don't want to wait. You know, it's an investment. So in your opinion, is this profitable? Because if I'm going to sell it for 25 cedis, someone comes to buy and sell it for, I do most of the work anyway. I do the waiting, the feeding, whatever, all the necessary things. They come to buy, add value, and then sell it. And usually adding value sometimes it takes time. If I'm doing this on a commercial basis, I might not be able to now add value, supervise the value addition and all of that. So is this a valuable or a profitable venture for someone who might be interested in venturing fish farming to consider?
Fish farming is still profitable even from the farm gate or from the farm.
Okay.
In that one, farmers, unlike previously, are becoming knowledgeable, and hence now they do this kind of farming as a teamwork. In that, those who add value, some of them are linked up with the farmers. So yes, they come and buy it a little bit cheaper in quotes and go and increase the profits. There are some smart farmers that have links with, or even they help establish people who add value to it. So they get something from their production, and then at the same time they get something from also from the value addition. Yeah. But then, as I said, if you do it as a teamwork, where when you enter into the venture, you have a team, so you have your own team, but some are adding value, then you know you are in good business. However, all aside, you still can make profit. Now, let me break this down for you to understand.
Okay.
When you start, whether you are using concrete pond, earthen pond, or dugout, or you are using trampoline system, which is the new system in the country, the first production is what will a little bit sort of give you an impression whether you're going to make profit or not. But I can tell you, if you do due diligence to the total production and your mortality doesn't exceed 5%, you are sure to break even and make some marginal profit. Now, I'm taking my words calculatedly. You break even and make marginal profit. Thereafter, your second, third, and subsequent production, the money that you recoup will make you even forget about your capital investment.
Okay.
Because either to the first production you made,
it's to give you an idea.
The structure and everything took part of your money. And then feed. You are paying for labor. Sometimes you are even paying for electricity because you'll be pumping water. You'll be needing other things to do with even electricity. But subsequently, as you do more production, you are no more building a structure. There are certain things that you did to do your first production. You no more do them. Now you have gained experience. You are eliminating a lot of mortality situations, and therefore your production increases and your profit margin also expands. Okay, so that's how the production goes like. It's the first production that can give you a shake-up. But even that, people who do due diligence are even able to make profit on their first production. And I can attest to the fact that when we first started doing catfish about 9 years ago, our first production, we made profit. I can't tell you the profit, but we made profit.
Okay.
We really made profit on it. We did it as an experimental base, but we still made profit. And subsequently, we learned a lot, and over the years. Even currently, what we are doing is being experimented by one of my products. He is trying this on his own to see how he will perform. So I gave him the permission and he has succeeded. All the fishes you see in the pond now are over 1 kilo. So you can see that it all depends on you following the lay down procedures, you following down and learning. These productions, you have to link up with other people in the industry before you. You pick up lessons and you innovate. I always believe that in every agricultural venture, do not remain stagnant when you see person A doing it this way. Yes, there are certain things that cuts across and they are basic, but you also have to innovate. So you are able to do it your way, which will suit you and bring you maximum profit. Yes, so that's how the whole production cycle goes like.
Okay, still on chickers, you know, agriculture is characterized by many risks. I mean, just like every other sector, many risks associated to it, which makes people actually scared or conservative when it comes to venturing or embracing some sectors. In your opinion, what are some of the risks associated with catfish farming?
Yeah, in agricultural venture, there are risks.
A lot.
But then, for every prudent businessman, risk is a key to unlock secrets in the business. And so, also in catfish, we have risks. One major risk is that you could go for your fingerlings, and if they are asphyxiated, that's if they lack oxygen while transporting them to your site, especially depending on the proximity, you could have high rate of mortality. At times, the mortality could be as huge as 70%.
Oh, wow.
And that is where you have a problem. Number two, if there is an epidemic, which you are unaware, that could also lead to mortalities and is one risk. Or if there is a kind of internal problem with your structure that could make some of the fingerlings escape. It's a risk. And so maintenance of the structure is also important. After every harvesting, you look and see what is happening, and then you continue with your production.
Okay. So what are some of the risks in terms of diseases? What are some of the possible ones that one should look out for, and what are some of the measures that can be put in place to ensure that these things are counted or prevented?
In fact, diseases are also part of the risks.
Yes.
And the basic ones normally associated with catfish production have to do with bacteria and fungal infections. The bacteria and fungal infections come in this way. If your sanitation or the sanitation of your environs is not very good, you could encounter problems with bacteria and fungal infection. In that, reptiles and birds in the environment can pick it from outside and put it in the water, and then thereby disrupting the health of the animals. At times too, there could be occasional challenge with the feed. There could be a challenge in the feed. It could be fungi or it could be bacteria, and that goes a long way to affect the fish production. So basically, it is the fungal and the bacteria infections that are the most things. And as they grow, sometimes they suffer from salmonella and other related issues. But once you are able to do proper sanitation of your environment within the cages, and then also monitor growth of seaweed, when I talk about aquatic weeds, then you are easy, because the aquatic weeds also accumulate dirt, debris and other things that can lead to infections. So once a while, if you see algae, green algae and other forms of algae growing on the surface of the water, you need to strain it or scoop them off. And by so doing, you are able to eliminate. By and large, they are animals that do not get health issues so often. And so when you are able to mitigate it, by the time they are 4th, 5th month old, you are okay. And then you are just looking for time for harvesting. Yes.
Okay. So what are some of the contributions of catfish farming to Ghana's fishing industry?
A whole lot.
Okay. Now take
a
us
whole
through some
lot.
of them.
We've been talking about non-existence of jobs. This is an avenue for a lot of students coming out and waiting for their dream jobs to venture into. They can do it as individuals, they can do it in groupings, and they can try their hands on as associations, depending on how they would like to organize it. So yes, it's something that can be done. It's something that can be done easily. Yes.
Okay.
As I said, it brings about jobs to people. The profits that we get from fish production, people are able to use it to do whatever they want to do, right from educating their children and they themselves going to school, or using the profits to do other ventures. People do catfish production and they use the profitability to do other productions. Yeah. Okay. So it's something that is adding up to employment. It's adding up to people making an income. It's adding up to even our diet, our nutritional. That it adds up to the nutritional requirements as Ghanaians. It adds up to the nutritional. As I'm saying, now people know how they can use catfish to do a whole lot of recipe, or how do I call it, menu. People use catfish to do a whole lot of things. Some people even cut it to chunks, pieces, flour them, add some spices and fry them. Unlike in the past, we don't even know that you can fry catfish.
Yeah, mostly smoked.
Mostly smoked, and that is it. But now people do a whole lot with catfish.
Okay.
So it's improving, and it will get better.
But upon all these contributions, Ghana still remains one of the highest importers of fish into the country. we still are not able to sustain? Is it because we don't have enough fish farmers, or because of our taste and preference?
The Ghanaian mentality, without sounding too obnoxious or too insulting, we stick to certain tastes, and then when we change, we change. So it's a gradual change, and we will change. One, Ghanaians sometimes look, most Ghanaians, if I may put it rightly, look at quantity more than quality.
Quality, okay.
The things we import, do we know how they are produced? We don't know.
Exactly.
If chemicals were used in the feed to increase production, by 4 months, catfish is ready for production, we don't know.
We don't know.
And so we're eating what we don't know. So if we can produce more indigenously, then health-wise, we are safe. Now we keep on importing because people want to profit quickly at the expense of our health. And when I start talking about this, I get a little emotional because some of us have the opportunity to travel some way, somehow. So we've seen the other side of things and other things. And sometimes, not being careful, we just import in just anything. When you go to some jurisdictions and some country, the way they rear their animals, we can't do the same thing here because we are living in different environmental conditions. Here we are in the tropics. And they have a way of doing the things, and sometimes their environment makes the fishes grow faster. They have the requisite feed, they have the machinery, so of course they could be ahead of us. But we have the capacity to produce the requirement of fish in Ghana, like they did to poultry. After some time, they reduced the number of importation. The local market is catching up, but our bane is the feed. Getting feed to feed catfish, just like any other animal in Ghana, is very expensive. And this is one of the things, the challenge, the biggest challenges we are facing. It's very expensive getting fish feed. On the average, a bag of about 25 kilo on the average is costing about almost 30 cedis, some 50 cedis. Those commercial fish that I mentioned about, some are selling at 110 Ghana cedis, 120 Ghana cedis.
Wow.
For just a bag of about 25 kilos. So you can imagine. So if we do something about feed, so that indigenously we can produce more feed, then we can produce more indigenous fish. We will not be over-reliant on exported fish. Because as I'm saying, the risks are there. We might not know. And so we bring things in, and it is after consumption that we will face. Hitherto, there were a lot of diseases that were not in the system that are fish-related. Today, visit any of the major hospitals, diseases that are unknown, which are fish consumption-related, are now in this country. Where came this from? It's because of our taste. But when we do it and do it well, our own people will also start. So it is for us farmers as well to do the production properly, invite customers in, have our normal trade fairs. Now everything has sort of gone down, especially the COVID has also added this value to it. We don't have regular workshops, regular trade fairs to introduce our things to the market. So you hide in one corner and nothing is happening. Like for example, we are privileged. People attest to what we do. So they spread the good news. But if I tell you we have a farm in this enclave, you will never know. Until somebody prompts you, you will never know that there is a farm here. And sometimes that's the unfortunate thing. We don't advertise ourselves properly. So I'm even privileged that at this platform to at least tell our story.
Exactly.
We don't know where it will end. So very privileged to have that support.
You're welcome. Okay, usually with all that you said, it's easier for the problems to be solved when there's a body that's in charge of the interests of these farmers. So let's say, is there an association for fish farmers or even catfish farmers specifically to promote your interest and then push for your needs to be solved?
This is a very good question, but very tricky. Yes, there are associations, but they need a lot of empowerment, and they need to consolidate what they are doing, and they need to define their roles, and the efforts must be doubled. Why do I say so? There are associations, but they are in catchment areas. Like for example, if you go to around Akosombo, Akusi, Ho, you come to Sugakofa, Adidome. Then if you come to the coast, you go towards, even these places are close to the coast. You go towards South Pond, Azim, Mankesim. You have farm association, Edubiase. Yeah, I'm mentioning the places I know. No. And then places around beyond Ho. You know, when you go to places close to Golokwachi, Jessica, those places. Yes, they have association because there you see a lot of fish farmers. So they are able to form organized associations. But as I'm saying, there's more to be done. As to whether they have a national association, just like we have a Ghana Poultry Association and livestock and other things, that one I'm not very sure. But there are pockets of associations that are helping in their catchment areas. But they need to come out big, so that other people from other areas will also learn from them. Yes.
Is there any, or are there any relevant milestones that the National Service Scheme from here in Papawo has chalked that you'd want to let the whole world know about in order to entice people who are even interested in investing or coming here?
When it comes to that, I don't know whether because of my religious upbringing, but we always want the story to tell for itself. And the very people we train to tell the story for us, without any, misgivings. For 10 years at least, we've trained close to over 100 people. And there are times some come back to attest. There are some who are farm managers in the fish industry. Some are managing other aspects of farm production generally. There are some who even came here without fish farming background, but came to learn here, and they are doing very well. Without mentioning specific name, I have about 2-3 boys who are in Kumasi. Some have the size of the pond we have here, times 10. And they just pick the rudiments from here. Now, there are individuals who have passed through this farm to do internship, and they are also doing very well. Very, very well. And as I said, people tell our story, and I am sure it's because people are telling our stories. That is why today I'm on this platform. Okay. Because people really tell our story because they see what we can do, and they see the product that we are bringing out, both manpower products and even the catfish itself. Yes. Okay. So that is in a nutshell what I can say.
Okay. There are actually a lot of, especially with the COVID, many people have lost their jobs. People are looking at venturing into agricultural sectors, but don't know exactly where to go or where to even go for knowledge. Yeah. Because usually people don't like sharing their knowledge; they hoard it when it comes to practical aspects of agriculture. So, do you have any final words for people who are interested in agriculture, most especially catfish, and might want to come here to come and learn?
Yeah, our doors are always open to people who want to learn what we are doing and go to innovate. I always use that word. They learn from us and they should go and do it better. Our doors are always open for that. Students come here every year to learn, and individuals too. The place is open. It's a matter of you seeking permission, and then you state the duration that you want to stay in here. Yeah. When we look at the duration, it's too short for you, we increase it for you. And normally we virtually do this free because we hardly charge. We only charge some few things if I have to put somebody on you to monitor your progression. But if you are a very avid learner, within 1 week, 2 weeks, you should be done and gone. So virtually, it's almost like free. And over the years, as I'm saying, at least 10 years, I've personally, together with the people I've placed in charge of the fish, we've trained so many people. And then we also had the opportunity of sometimes going onto agri platforms, workshops. We go for trade fair. And this is where we also had opportunities as trainers. We had opportunity as trainers to train people and then to, you know, why people's interest into the industry. I think the last one we attended was Agri House, organized a training workshop at the Children's Park, Ifwa Sutherland Park, that's the official name, near the National Theatre. And then we were there for 3 days. I had the privilege to train people on catfish production. And the enthusiasm from there increased. As I'm speaking now, out of the people I spoke to, there were over 40. About 10 of them has consulted already. The other 30 or more had consulted other people in the industry. Out of the 40, I know of about 15 who are already doing it. So it's a matter of the exposure, having a good look at it, asking all the necessary questions, and then venturing into it. As it is a business. You take the risks, you make it, you leave out the risks, and you remain as you are. So that's how it is.
Thank you very much, Cecil, for your time.
My pleasure.
And hold on, next time we'll call on you, you'll be able to receive us as warmly as you did today.
Sure.
Okay.
You're always welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you too for the privilege.
Okay. This brings us to the end of this episode on AgroLink, where we looked at the fish farming industry in Ghana, specifically the catfish industry. With the help of the farm manager here at the National Service Scheme Farms in Papawo, specifically Hatchery. We thank him very much for this exciting and interesting discussion. And you can follow us on our social media platforms for many more educative episodes and content on various issues relating to higher education. My name is Nana Ismambasam. Do stay tuned on AAU TV for more exciting content.
So, Rebecca, can you describe the cultural practice of FGM, please?
Yeah, FGM is like it's traditional practice. In Samburu, you cannot be married if you have not gone through that female genital mutilation, that cutting. And they also said you are not a grown-up if you are not cut. And if you get pregnant also, when you are a girl, you have not, before you are cut, they kill that child because the child is not holy in the community. so it have to be killed. And we went through, I went also through FGM, and I know very well how it is, because for me it was very serious. I bleed, I was about to die. I was taken to I was lucky because I live in Wamba where this is our hospital. So I was taken to the hospital. I stayed there for 1 month, having drips for almost a week and many injections. So I know how dangerous it is. So that's why also all women in Umoja we have gone through. But now we don't want our girls to go through FGM. And that's another thing. The men doesn't like Umoja because they said we are bringing the bad culture in Umoja, in the community. So they said even they can't marry our girls, but we said we don't care, but we are not going to cut our girls again. So we always go around telling the women about the danger of cutting the girl, and most of the times we are chased away by the men because they don't want to hear that. So, but we don't give up. We always go. When this village chases us, then we go to the next village. Yeah, so.
And how do you tell them they can stop FGM? What do you tell them to do?
We tell them FGM is very dangerous. If you cut your girl, you'll kill your girl, she'll get heavy bleeding, and she will die. If she didn't die, she'll not enjoy even sex with the husband. And that one bring also problem in the family. And if she got also a baby, it's very hard for her to give birth because of that scar. They cut it until it is the bone only. So when she gave birth, the baby will not come out too easily. Education is very important because if we take girls to school, boys to school, and then they can say no for themselves because they are educated. They can go to other schools and they get involved with other children from other tribes, and then maybe they can change and they can say, no, I cannot be cut. And even the boy can say, my wife will not be cut, or my sister will not be cut. So that's why we say the education is very important for both boys and girls. At least now in school we have few girls who are saying, I will not be cut. And last December, 5 girls, I have seen them, they refuse to be circumcised. And also they were told to go and stay in Umoja. So we told the girls, there's no problem, you can still come. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, what we saw from the clips, there was, total cutout of the clit. It's that part of a woman that makes her have, sexual urge, and maybe there's the push factor to go and look for another man, outside the family unit or the marriage, and that can lead to, dissolving, the family.
Okay.
And therefore, for them,
yes,
they use it to make sure that the woman doesn't go.
They use it to make sure the woman does not go out,
Yes,
and the family stays,
exactly,
and there is no divorce. Should I say hallelujah?
No.
All right, okay. Very well. Please go ahead. Go ahead.
I think it's a form of socialization.
It's a form of socialization. Go ahead. How does it socialize?
Socialize them from girls to motherhood. And it also helps them to identify with the groups that have gone through that.
Very well.
So that it reduces the stigma in terms of those who have and those who have not.
Very well. So a way of socialization so that again you connect with the identity. Please keep going. Why are the Maasai, Samburus, and those kind of communities doing? Pastor here.
I think this practice began in a given historical context where maybe many of them were going away from their homes and leaving their wives back home, especially men. And then they adopted it and gave it a new meaning as a rite of passage.
Okay.
But forgetting what she has just said, that it was to keep the libidos of the women down, such that they may not look for other men when their men have gone away to graze the cattle.
You take me a bit slowly here. Yeah. And there's somebody who wants to fight you at the back there, you'll pass the mic to him. But before you do that, we say the nature of the Maasai community and Samburu, they are nomadic. And the men are the ones who go to look after the cows. And they can go for long. So you're saying they want to keep their women in check when they are away.
Yes.
And the way to do that is to cut the libido.
So they gave it a new meaning, but that was the original intention.
That was the original intention.
Yes.
Then they tried to camouflage that with
became a rite of passage, a lot of rituals, but they forgot the real reason.
Okay, very well. I give them back to the back.
Okay, so I have the mic.
Yes, okay, please go ahead.
I guess that is also a sense of pride for the girl, the family.
Yes.
Because if you don't do it, you are stigmatized.
If you don't do it, you're stigmatized. Yes. And so that way you just have to follow,
yes,
whether you like it or you don't. Okay, very good. Please, it sounded like you didn't agree with this man.
I do agree.
Yes.
With him.
Yeah.
I was only asking, is it bad to reduce the libido for women?
Oh, you're asking?
It's not a woman.
There can be other alternatives rather than the cruel solution.
Alternative. I am worried that there are too many men speaking now. I don't know whether it's because the people holding the mic are men, and I think I should change that now.
Yes, the last man possibly.
Yes.
There's also an economic aspect of it.
Go ahead.
Like the Ngaribas, we call them Ngaribas in Swahili, people who do the cutting. They gain out of it, and they get a living out of it.
Oh, so you're saying it's a business?
Yes.
For the person doing the cutting?
Yes, because when you take your daughter, you pay a little bit of it.
You pay.
So when you pay, and it becomes a lot of living, don't allow the practice to go.
So you not want it to go because they are
yes,
relying on it?
Yes, of course. Yeah. And of course they communicate with the traditionalists,
okay,
the Wazee, yes.
Okay, keep going. Somebody else tell me, why are these people doing it? Yes, please.
Mine is related to a myth, but I was trying to discourage the thinking that it has to do with promiscuity.
Okay.
I see it to be a tendency of colonial and introduction of religion.
Very well.
And so I think, but now this won't be the Maasai because I haven't done research on them, but among the Kuria, for example, there's a myth and it has to do with power relation and religious belief. And that is why it's very difficult to stop because it also attaches to the personhood. That's why you are not a person and you can't share, for example, resources in somebody's garden. So that is a religious and power relation issue.
It is a religion and power relation.
Yeah.
That's how you belong and that's how you get the right of ownership of resources.
Yes.
Very well, keep going. Yes.
Yes, it has to do with dignity and prestige.
Tell me about your dignity and prestige.
You know, when you have gone through it, you have prestige in the community and people will respect you. And for us, it's really it's another way again of reducing your sexual urge. You know.
Very good.
When
Do you think it's right? Do you think it's true, scientifically speaking, that works?
Well, from what the women have been saying,
yes,
they normally mock those who have not gone through it. And they say, that's why you always having a lot of boyfriends, you're having these things here.
So you think it's scientifically true?
I have not yet.
Yeah, right. But I want to ask you, I've read some literature indicating that affluent women in Kenya actually are sending their girls to hospitals so they can go through that practice in a normal way.
So there are some
that means,
hospitals to do it in the normal way.
Yes, so that means it's important.
Okay, very well. Please go ahead.
And I also read about some literature that says that it has aesthetic aspect of it in terms of beauty.
Yes.
It also comes with cleanliness. Just like men are circumcised, when they also become circumcised, they become cleaner and beautiful. So,
okay. Very well. Beautiful. Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah.
Why this one?
I believe that those the masters.
If you want to say something, we'll give you the mic, don't worry. Please make sure the mic is coming this direction. Yep.
I believe that those who are practicing, for example, the Maasai and Samburu, believe that all cultures are the same, and there is no culture that is superior than the others.
Okay.
So they are asking themselves, why are the Western community telling us not to practice FGM, and yet we have not told them to leave their cultures?
Okay. Are you saying it is the Westerners that are telling us to stop this behavior of FGM?
The first people to tell us to stop are the Western.
Are the Western?
Yes.
So you think it's the Western imposing culture on us?
Yes.
Okay, very well. Interesting. Please, Madam, go ahead.
I think from the question, the question you asked was why did the Maasai practice?
Why do they practice? Yes.
So we've gone way beyond why the Maasai.
Okay.
But what I think we haven't talked about is patriarchy and misogyny. Patriarchy and misogyny.
Patriarchy and
misogyny. And that's at the core of these practices.
Yes.
Every practice that disadvantages women, that was the purpose.
Every practice that disadvantages women.
Yes. Is coming from a misogynistic background.
Very good.
It's because men want to control the sexuality of women, and they tie that to culture. And it's because men are always the dominant figures in culture and societies.
Very good.
Within society. And that's how it affects women. So how it affects women are the things that we should be discussing at this moment.
Yes.
What does it mean to go through this process for a woman?
Yes.
Why is it important to that culture? Is it the women that are affirming that this is good for them?
Okay.
Or is it because men think this is good for us?
Okay.
So I think
It's the very main issue.
it's because men think it's good for them.
It is because of men.
Yes.
These bloody men.
No.
Yes.
It doesn't benefit the woman.
Yes.
It benefits men.
Benefits men. Okay. Please go ahead.
Okay. Now, the Maasai or the Samburu, whoever are circumcised,
yes,
they do it for the same reason they circumcise men. It's the same reason. Okay? Why do they circumcise men? For the Maasai, it's passage into a different age group.
Sorry, you said something earlier. The reason they circumcise men is the same reason they circumcise women.
Yes.
So you deviate a bit from what you say.
Yeah, in a
Please
way.
tell us about it.
Yeah, so the circumcised men is passage into a different age group. You take different responsibilities.
Okay.
Okay? It's the same for women.
Yes.
That you reach a given age, so you are in age group, you have to pass from one to another to take on different responsibilities.
Very good.
So for them, it's not an issue of doing it to control women more, but it's the passage thing.
It's just the passage.
Yeah, one thing I always ask myself is this. We call it mutilation.
We call it mutilation here.
There's circumcision, but all in all, it's circumcision.
So the right word should be which one?
Circumcision.
Female circumcision.
Why not? Please, somebody does not agree on this side. Okay, then pass on the back first. Can you have your back? Please go ahead and you can.
I want to agree with my brother about the rite of passage, but when you talk of circumcision, if you read the word in English, what it means is the removal of the first skin on the penis. That's circumcision. So it can't apply on women.
Let me ask you there, and I'm not supporting him, I just want to understand languages. In the language of the people practicing it, is there a different word from the male cutting to the woman cutting? Allow me to use the word cut. Is there a different word?
It's called clitoridectomy.
All right, very well. Please, at the back.
Yes. I think this is it's a win-win situation.
Yes.
It's like a gender win-win situation.
Gender win-win situation.
Yes. It makes sense. Men need someone who has gone through that.
Okay.
And women need to go through that.
You mean the
which way? A lady needs that because she earns respect. A man needs that because he understands he will retain his marriage. So both parts feel like they need it.
So it's a win-win. Yes. You don't think there's anyone losing. There's no one losing.
No, there's no one who is losing. No one is losing from that tradition.
Okay. And my good ladies, but I would like to respond.
Of course. Why would a man be so insecure as wanting to control a woman's sexuality?
Tell me about it.
That's the question I'm asking a man. Why would you be so insecure as to want to control somebody's sexuality? Exactly.
All men who are here.
Any man who's interested. But the fact of the matter is, everybody should be in control of their own lives.
Very good.
And their sexuality is part of their life.
Very good.
If I choose to sleep with 50 men, it's my choice. No, but that's the commitment. A marriage is a commitment between two people. So whether a man is cheating or a woman is cheating, it's wrong.
It's wrong.
It's wrong both ways.
Okay.
So you shouldn't devise a way to control somebody else's way of feeling to go outside of the marriage.
Okay.
So there are many reasons why people go outside of the marriage.
There are many reasons.
Many reasons.
Okay.
Why they go outside of the marriage. To cheat.
To cheat.
So trying to control the sexuality, that doesn't stop women. You say no. 97% of women are initiated. But 50% of women are cheating. Or more.
Yes.
Can
you say 50%?
Or more. The fact of the matter is it's about commitment. It doesn't stop you from...
It doesn't stop you.
At all.
These are
myths.
It's going to stop.
They're myths.
Fantastic. Please pass that me. Go ahead and
I think it's all about me.
Yes.
And it's all about belief.
Yes.
Because when you talk about men cheating, for those of us who are entitled to 4 women, by culture, by tradition, I mean, if you look at the way people look at things, depending on where you come from, even the women themselves encourage the men to get more wives. But I have seen a parent who, in obedience to what people say about the FGM, did not take the child for circumcision. But she had a lot of problems because every day, this child, innocent child, was always shouting, "Mommy, I'm feeling this, is itching me, I don't enjoy myself." So the woman was worried. And a number of people were encouraging her that, look, this lady is going through this because we have not caught this thing. Or they were pushing her to go and do it. She didn't want to, but the lady herself was complaining every day, feeling this. And they were saying that, look, by the time this girl grows up, she will try to go and solve her problems elsewhere. And so they encouraged this woman to go and cut the something. So she did it based on the circumstance, because they said she had to choose between doing that or leaving the child to become vulnerable to some of these things. So experiences of what people go through, where they come from, the environment, the needs, and all those things.
They influence the way they make their choices. Okay, fantastic, very good. Did I have another hand? I think yes, please.
Yeah. I was just going to ask, is the clitoris the only part that makes a woman happy? I'm trying to question the hypothesis.
In the interest of
This is FGM we are talking about.
Repeat what you have said, please.
I think I can repeat. This is FGM we are talking about. Please, I'm an anthropologist, I'm a medical sociologist, I'm very open. Sorry for everybody. What I want to say is, I have a problem with the promiscuity issue with FGM, because these are colonial bringing into religious belief to the local people, believing that really FGM is practiced because of that, because men want to control the sexuality of women.
Very good.
So I'm just trying to look at many of the myths existing, which are proud to colonial period, which have rejected that virtue.
Okay.
Then from there, I'm just questioning that. Well, that is not the only part that makes the woman happy. Then we go to the hypothesis, say, let's ask ourselves, how are women in FGM communities? Don't they enjoy sex? There's been research, and it has said no. We know that women who have been circumcised also enjoy sex. The only problem is the knowledge of sex, which is an issue within community thinking. That's the only area.
The knowledge of sex is the problem.
Yes. I'm not saying FGM is not a problem. I'm trying to disqualify the hypothesis that women who have been circumcised do not enjoy sex.
And that you can control women by doing some kind of cut.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to do. So I'm not scaring.
And you're saying it was brought by the colonial masters to put men against women?
I'm saying it's a colonial master thinking. We know of a lot of types of marriages, for example, which were even thought that they're woman to woman sexuality, while their gender roles and stuff like that.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to.
And did you say there is a research? I want to follow the word. There's some research into this.
Yes, there is research. Some can even read my articles, but I'm also recently doing a research on Kuria cross-border in Migori County, Tarime and Serengeti. So soon I'll publish some more work on the cross-border, issues.
Very good.
I'm following a cultural framework. I'm not saying that circumcision is okay. It has its problem, but I'm raising a question that we have more pertinent problems,
very good,
like malaria and others, that we also need to take issue into that and not fall into development.
So you should be paying more attention to malaria other than this one issue.
No, you are getting me wrong. I'm saying this is an important it's an important issue for women.
Okay.
But we are overreacting because of development issues.
All right.
So we are also making statements which have not been proven scientifically. And I'm trying to say one of it is about women who are circumcised, they still enjoy sex. Science tells us that.
Excellent. I like that.
I'll see what you have.
I'm circumcised.
Yes, I just want us to consider the fact that these communities, by the time they began these practices, were not as complex as our societies we have them today. And they would have thought that it was only that element that would keep the libidos of their women down. So they may not have exhausted all that we know about human sexuality.
Now we know more, and especially like the research which has been done here scientifically.
Exactly.
So now we know better.
And I would contend the idea that this is all forms of genital mutilation came with colonialism.
Yes.
Because there are also other factors. It's true, like with the slave trade, many societies, because they were taking young men away, many girls who remained, they had no possibility of finding spouses, so they initiated. Literature shows some of these communities began genital mutilation that way.
Okay.
But there are also factors like the tribal wars and all of this, where many men would be away or die in wars, leaving many women without the possibility of finding spouses.
Okay.
So I would contend the idea of associating all forms of genital mutilation with the colonialism. It was even before colonialism in some societies.
No, but what he's saying is the concept that it is bad came with the colonialism. And that's what they are saying, if I got them right.
Yes.
That it was there even before, but it is when colonialism came that people are made to start thinking that it is bad. Or impressed upon to think it's bad. Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I want to pick up on the issue of colonialism. I think the idea is that when Christianity came in, the issue of prostitution was termed as bad. Or actually having extramarital relationship was termed as prostitution.
Yes.
And the issues of infidelity came in.
Yes.
So, in order to hold the campaign successful among the traditionalists, then it was thought that if you attack FGM through the angle of the prostitution, and you see these traditionalists going to the church, so it will probably bring quick impact, but it did.
Okay.
And you talked about research.
Okay.
Evidence from the research shows that in most of the countries where FGM campaigns have been held, success have been very little. Really? Take an example of Egypt, where the campaigns against FGM started in 1920s. And recently, UNICEF report 2016 is showing that the prevalence in Egypt of FGM is as high as countries like Somalia, where the campaigns have been so recent. You see, so and other related studies are showing that countries with, regions or cultural groups where FGM is high, they're also experiencing high rate of fertility. Meaning that also the issue of extramarital relationship and multiple concurrent sexual partnerships are still high. The big question which is connecting all these is the question of women's power. That where you have the culture that is suppressing women, where there is gender inequitable norms, and still there is FGM, that's where the problem comes in. But basically, the issue of campaign has not successfully led to the eradication or control of
so the whole problem is about women empowerment.
It's a question of women empowerment
and where you
and gender inequitable norms.
About the process that we are taking. We can take that at the end of the session. So the learning outcomes, I will come back to the preparation questions once we have gone through the case. So I would like now to go through the case. We shall be doing a reading of some write-up and also watch some videos.
Not so long ago, you could walk through Nairobi and just about every woman you meet could tell you a personal story of circumcision and early marriage, a practice once common among many Kenyan communities. It's not so common now. More and more parents have decided it's simply wrong. But head to some of Kenya's poorer rural areas, it's a different story. At just one school in Kajiado, 106 kilometers south of Nairobi, 62 girls dropped out last year to have children. Most of them had been married off after undergoing circumcision. Tradition says this surgery transforms a girl into a woman, marriage material, to be sold like an asset. The procedure is brutal.
The Maasai culture do the FGM in a horrific way. They circumcise a girl without any medication. They use a razor blade, and they cut the whole part of clitoris, the whole part, until they touch the bone. At least somebody can lose 2 to 2.5 pints of blood when the circumcision is done. After 12 hours, they take you outside and see whether the circumcision was done well. And if it was not done well, they repeat it again to you.
It's hard enough to listen to the description, but imagine going through it. Some girls are just 6 years old. Then comes the marriage.
Now, when you find a girl aged 8 years, like the one we rescued during December holiday. 8 years old, married for 3 months, terrible. So imagine, after we've rescued her, we had to take her to Nairobi Hospital, Women Hospital, to be treated. It is not, we find them in bad shape.
Alongside the physical damage, the psychological impact can be immense. 13-year-old Tasha attempted suicide several times rather than go through with the tradition. 2 years ago, she was in Nairobi. Her 14-year-old sister went through with the cut and marriage. Tasha ran away, tried to kill herself, and then ended up as a house help before hitting the road to try and find her mother. She's among 150 girls rescued in Kajiado in just 5 months. 72 of those are in Ilbisil Primary School in Kajiado. It's a refuge for those trying to escape early marriage and all that goes with it.
Tried to commit suicide many times, but it failed. When I came here, I had only one outfit that my mother used to wear and left it with me. I had only one shoe, which I wore on the foot I felt hurt the most. Everybody hated me and laughed at me. Now I'm like a leader and they all love me in school.
The school relies on private donors to keep the refuge open. Activists say changing the law was a good first step, but they say they need more help from those who dare to defy tradition. Just how many girls go through these rites in Kenya every year is not very clear. Many hundreds. The practice persists, but attitudes have changed. My mother went through it when she was just 12 years old and had her first child at 15. She doesn't regret the children, but refused to let me or my sister go through it. It was harmful and pointless, she says, and children deserve better. Sonny Methu, CCTV, Nairobi, Kenya.
So we'll go now to the preparation questions. We have gone through the videos and all the write-up relating to kids. And now the preparation questions. What you're going to do, for every question, you put down your response, your personal response for each of the questions. It'll take about 10 minutes for that. And after that, we will go to small groups and we will share with each other the responses that we have come up with. Excited about the energy I see playing when you're doing the discussion. I compare that with if I had started this as a lecture. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and we wanted to go straight into it, FGM. And let's first focus on a question: what life experiences make people laugh? Would you like to share with me? What are life experiences that make people laugh? Who would like to go first? Yes, please, sir. Just lift up your hand, we'll give you mine.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
The first life experience we highlighted here is education.
Education.
We are exposed to different areas of life, and we know what is good and what is bad.
Very good.
Thank you.
We are educated by a system.
Yes.
So we go to a place called a school.
Yes.
And we learn what has been prepared for us as an experience.
Yes.
All right, very good. What else? Please pass the mic there.
When you're exposed to another way of doing life by the outside world.
When you're exposed to another way of doing things by the outside world. Very good. Keep going. Yes, please pass the mic.
Yes, there's what's called peer sharing.
Peer sharing.
Yes, because when you share with the peers, you understand that maybe you're in a good position, at least you need to change and catch up with the peers.
Very good.
Yeah.
So you share with peers, and that way your world view changes. Please go ahead.
Physical pain.
Physical pain. And the fear of physical pain, it gets you to learn. Pain makes you learn. Keep going. These are experiences. Raise up your hand, wherever you are. It is.
I think traumatic experiences.
Traumatic experiences, trauma, can make you learn. Please go ahead.
When there is an unusual incident that is stressful, which is connected to the usual life experience.
Unusual experience that is painful, and you say the last part related to usual experience.
Related to the practice.
Related to the practice. Please raise up your hand if you are. Go ahead.
As we looked at it like in two parts, generally there are two events. Yeah? Events can be negative, and events can also be positive. So positive events will lead to prosperity in life, and so one would aspire to prosper. Like he said, education. So education will steer you, to move into a positive direction. But when you come to the negations, then negative events like exposure to risk will try to steer you to move towards the direction where you are a bit more safe. So we look at it
Positive and negative.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Go ahead. Who is next? Please pass the mic there.
Okay, I think criticism from others, when they start saying what you are doing is wrong, even if you are doing right, you learn.
When you're criticized by others, you question your own view and you learn something new. Anybody else want to share with me? Right? What life experiences make people learn? Right? It's amazing you combine a number of things. The first person talked about education, going to school. And I noted somebody, please bring the mic here, somebody wanted to question that. I could read it from his face. I don't know whether he wanted to question the answer or the person. Please pass the mic here. He had an
I just wanted to support that we also said if you're exposed to another way of doing things.
And education exposes you to another way of doing things.
Yeah, okay.
Very good. Is education the only way we learn? Or is school the only place we learn? No, this is the kind of things that you have told me. One is in school and another one is elsewhere, isn't it? In other places, things that we experience through life. Fantastic. Now there's something else. There's a message that is being passed here in the case. What mode of passing message that influenced you more or made you understand the issue better? What is it that had the highest impact on you in following these things? Who would like to go?
Well, for me, the highest impact was the graphic description of the brutality of the practice.
Brutality.
Yeah.
That made you learn and feel very good. Please pass the microphone. Somebody the mic back there.
The testimony of those who had gone through the experience.
The testimony of those going through the experience make you learn. Please pass the mic there.
Well, the crying. The crying, yeah, the deep emotion expressed by the victims.
The victim's life story.
The victim's life story. The crying, when you see the emotion coming out of the actors here. Anything else? Yes.
The victim's life stories.
The victim's life stories. Yes. Run this side, run the mic. Yes, please.
And the statistics.
The statistics.
Yes, when they say like 2.2 pints of blood, were shed or lost, then that is, That is serious. That is bad, scary.
Impacted on you.
Exactly.
Very good. Keep going. Yes, please.
When the owners of the practice criticized it, for me that touched me. Usually they're the outsiders who come to criticize you, but if the owners...
When the owners reflected on it.
And say it's a wrong practice, that was very strong for me.
That was very strong for you. Stronger than when it's an outsider saying it.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Pastor Mike there. Please show me where the mic is. I need to make good use of it. Yes.
Well, when there was an attempt to commit suicide,
When there was an attempt
to take life
Very well.
because of what he hated.
That had impact on you. Very good. Yes, sir.
Yes, the way those who have gone through that practice are treated, the way they are treated after have gone through that practice.
Very well. The way they have been treated after going through the practice.
Yes.
Very well. Keep going. I another somewhere here. Yes. Yes, I speak. You say something.
All right. So the fact that even children as young as 8 years old are transitioning from childhood to adulthood, making them more or less ready for marriage, which I feel no, this can't be right. Exactly.
That makes you feel it. Very well. Go ahead.
We talked about the magnitude of occurrence, and it's like a whole village is losing many girls at once simply because a cohort is exposed to that circumcision. So maybe a family has lost a daughter, another family is having a daughter who is on the edge of death, another family is having a daughter who is actually sick, they're taking her to the hospital. So that magnitude of negative energy in the village. Yeah.
The magnitude of negative energy effect. Yes, please.
I look at the complications and childbearing. Yeah, it's really negative to me. Yes.
It's traumatizing. It makes you feel it. Very well. Any other experience that made you land there? Very well. Had highest impact for you.
The experience I got was that who was concerned from the individual. I found that the concern was from the individual to the global level, so it was an issue.
So the magnitude of
the effect is global.
It has impact on you, and you see this as a serious thing to pay attention to.
Yes.
Very good. Keep going. Anybody else? Right? Anything else that had impact on you to see the importance of this? Last two here, please.
The students who are getting out of school,
Yes.
so they don't have opportunity to learn.
They are getting out of school. They don't have opportunity to learn. That's affecting me.
I wanted to talk about the school
Talk
dropouts.
about the same.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Now allow me to bring a little bit of change here. Do people learn the same way? Do people learn the same way? No. People learn in different ways. There are those who learn through graphics. There are those who learn visual. There are those who learn by reading. Those who learn by watching. And sometimes a combination of all those. Is that a good thing to know for us as trainers? Is it important? Why is it important? Yes, please. Why is it important? Yes.
It is important because your people in your classroom are diverse.
People in your classroom are diverse. Go ahead.
I think it's important for us to know that people come with preconceived notions to our classrooms. They come with different cultural experiences. They come with levels of understanding. And they come with levels of learning, different ways of learning. So we need to understand that. So when we have a class full of people,
You need to understand those
diversities. Yes.
You need to work in your class. Very good. Any other? Please pass. Any other back there? That's it. You need to understand the diversities. Yes.
Just on that helps us deal with the issue of differentiated learning.
Aha, differentiated learning.
Yeah, so that we know how to diversify our approaches to suit different learners.
Very good. To pass the message in different ways to suit different learners. Yes, please. Go ahead.
So that we don't put our students into one box.
So that we don't.
But we need to identify each group and their needs.
Very well. So that we don't put our students in one box. And we allow their perspectives as a learning process. Pastor Mike there, as we listen here.
Also, our students have different levels of preparedness, you know, and historical background.
Very good.
Yeah.
Different should have different preparedness and historical background. And it is important to pay attention to this when you pass the message. Yes, who has the mic there? Did I see a hand up there? Yes, please.
Yeah, the learning through the different varied senses
makes
learners to retain more and even get more information.
Very good. Multiple perspectives of learning. Very good. Yes?
Yes, we also need to tap into the weaknesses of some students and the strength of others so that make peer learning made very easy. But as well, it helps also to students to relate to some of the things that have happened to others in their life.
They experience what has happened to others in their lives. Fantastic. Yes, please. Another one here and another one here.
I also think it's important to pay attention to the age of the learner. Because adults and young people learn differently.
Very good. Adults and young people learn differently. Who learns faster?
You know, the young people, it's easier for them to cram and retain.
Yes.
The adults, you have so much going on.
You are learning too much.
So you need to learn in
bits.
In bits.
Very well. And prepare for that. Thank you very much. Very good. Did I see another hand up here? Yeah, this gentleman next to you there.
I think it's important because it also enables one student himself to identify his talent and also the skills that he has not been able to explore.
So they develop skills that they have not explored.
Yeah, and talent, yeah.
And talent. Fantastic, very good. Yes, some 2 hands at the back here and another one in front here. Please come in front. Yes.
It's also important exposition.
Exposition.
Students from the village and not those in the city, they're exposed to maybe like modern technologies, and then someone that's coming from the village is never had any modern technology, so it's also very good.
And all these are your students in the same class, yet they have all these different backgrounds. Very good. Yes, please.
Yeah, there are some stubborn students. What you may think is obvious may not trigger change in them, and the want that they see. So you never know, one of these may help them to trigger that change that you want.
Take me slowly. There are some who are stubborn.
Yeah,
you say stubborn.
They are stubborn, they just don't want to understand it.
So you try them different way.
Yes.
From visual to reading to
so
exercise.
You never know which one will trigger that.
And one of them will work.
Yeah, one may work.
Amazing. Yes, please.
It takes care of special needs of students. For example, because of the